Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist, and today I'm bringing you my 525 subscriber Q&A response. I want to thank everyone that posted on the community tab and the video that I posted about a week or two ago. I unlocked the community tab, and I thought that what better way to celebrate than to announce some things. So if you missed the video and the community post, and this is the first time you heard of this, I'm sorry. I did put out the video and the community post for people to feel free to ask questions and answer my questions. So if you wanted to ask questions or answer some of my questions and you didn't get the chance to, I'm sorry. But I did say there will be another surprise on the horizon, and I said what it was on the video, and I believe the community post as well. I will be doing a collection video for you all. It's going to be up within the next week or so. I'm just waiting on a few more packages to arrive, and then I got to rearrange my bookshelf a little bit, and then I'll make a collection video for you all and show you how my collection looks and how big it is. Okay, because I have a lot of stuff, and I'm doing it all for you all who have helped my channel grow. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank all of you out there who are subscribed and have helped me grow to what I am today. I know I haven't been the most active recently. I've just been kind of busy. Really no excuse. But I do have a lot slated. And after this video, we're going to have some stuff to review that you all picked. So that's going to be really fun. That's going to be really fun. I love engaging with the community this way. So, on the comments, we had a total of 16 commenters total throughout both, which wasn't bad. I was expecting maybe a tad bit more, but, only 4 off from my estimated 20. We had 3 people who just said kind words, and those were Watchdog, Sergeant Sadboy, and Michael Goosebumps Fan. All 3 of you, thank you so much, especially Michael Goosebumps Fan and Watchdog. I know you have been around since the beginning of my channel, especially Michael Goosebumps Fan. He helped me grow pretty quickly through shouting me out in his videos and on his community tab, and I can't even express how thankful I am for him and his content and his channel and all the joy he brings us in the Goosebumps community. So if you have never heard of Michael Goosebumps Fan, just look up him on YouTube. I'll even post a link to his videos down in the description of this video. Go sub him up. Great guy. Watchdog, he's a great commenter. He always has some really insightful things to say. And then Sergeant Sadboy, I think you're more of a new commenter. Thank you for the kind words as well. I really appreciate it. So, we had 13 people. Technically 12 because one person didn't do the full requirement, but I'll let it slide. So we have Zoe, Colton Johnson, EQ, Mikey Coughlin, Goosebumps Godzilla, The Gamer Bros, Steven Chavez, Monster Blood, BD Manga, Spongy444, Grayson the Goosebumps Kid, G King, and Got12. Now, I did check all the comments just to make sure I didn't miss anything. I checked the spam comments too, and I didn't see anybody else additional. So if you think that you left a comment that I didn't cover in this Q&A, I'm sorry, YouTube must have eaten it or something. Just post it down in the comment section below, and if there's 1 or 2 of you, I'll do something for you. Okay? But, with that out of the way, I do have designated numbers for the drawing later, and I'll get to that in a bit. So we have numbers 1 through 13, and I have everyone a design number on this little note card, and we'll get to that after we answer the questions, okay? So I'm just going to kind of run down them as I see them. So I'm going to go down the community post first, because that's the first thing I posted. And Watchdog said, "You do excellent work, man. You deserve all the success you get." Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the kind words. Really, it makes me feel good to hear somebody say that. Thank you. First up, we got G King. G King, I know you've been subbed to me for quite some time. I know your favorite book is A Night in Terror Tower. I feel like that's your favorite one, just because how many times you have mentioned it every time you comment on one of my videos. He says, "Huge congrats, bro. Here are my answers." So my questions were, let's kind of recap this first. So my questions were, I wanted to know three things. I want to know, what Goosebumps book do you find to be underrated and why? Then the second one was, what Goosebumps book do you want a sequel for? And then the third question I asked was, what Goosebumps book / episode / movie or anything like Goosebumps you want me to review on the channel? Okay? So these are the responses, and I'm going to kind of not repeat myself too much going forward. Just assume that those questions are in order. So the first answer has to deal with which one he finds underrated. And he said the book he finds underrated is Heads You Lose. He says it's an underrated book. It's the closest to A Night in Terror Tower, which I'm obsessed with, and utilizes the chiller setup of Horrorland books to the best with the objects. You know, I've heard Heads You Lose is an underrated book from plenty of people now. Some people seem kind of middling on it, which I'm kind of confused on. I guess people who are partial to liking A Night in Terror Tower might think that Heads You Lose isn't as good, or maybe a second rate. But then some people that I've talked to that aren't partial to A Night in Terror Tower and think it's overrated think that this book is better than it. So, yeah, it's very hit or miss, I guess, with people. All right, so Heads You Lose is an underrated book. I know Michael, Goosebumps fan, said he loved it. I know a couple of my friends have recommended it to me. Like one of my friends who's just a casual that really likes the book. So I don't know. Maybe this is something I have to check out from Arc 2 Horrorland. I think there's a couple of sleeper hits in Arc 2 Horrorland. So I'm going to try to check that out sooner than later. For the sequel, what book he wanted a sequel for, he said, since Terror Tower has a sequel already, I suppose I'll be willing to see an oddball sequel. Maybe a sequel to How to Kill a Monster, but use a different monster in different setting. Okay, so you want like a How to Kill a Monster 2 with completely different characters and a monster, or do you want like a rehash of How to Kill a Monster? It's essentially the same thing, right? I mean, you just want to see the thing done over again, or do you want like a official sequel with none of the same characters? I hope that answers your what you said. I'm just trying to interpret what you mean by that. It sounds like you just want a rehash of the book, which is fine. I mean, if you like the formula, it's fine. But, it is kind of an oddball request for a sequel. And the book he wants me to review is A Night in Terror Tower. Okay. A Night in Terror Tower, it's one of the big ones I have not reviewed on the channel yet. It was the second Goosebumps book I ever read as a kid. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind rereading it and watching the episode because it has an episode, so I'm going to do them both at the same time. If your, questions either impress me or you get drawn in the drawing here. But I'll probably do it sooner than later anyway, just because it's one that I've been wanting to talk about. I don't want to say what I think about it here, but I'll kind of save it for another question, because I know somebody asked me a question that I will probably include this as an answer for. So I'll save that for later on in the video. But as of now, okay, Night in Terror Tower, that's a good pick. And here are his questions. What's your favorite genre in Goosebumps? Genre? I don't know. I really like the darker books. I think I've said this in my last video. I really like the dark books. But at the same time, for some reason, there's these little subplot things that I enjoy. Or I guess subgenre, not subplots. But these little subgenres within Goosebumps. Like the electropathic technology-based stories. There's not many of them. Like robotics stories, I guess, would be included. I like those. I also like books that are centered around the Stay Out of the Basement formula. I think all of them are generally solid. The only one I have not read is Frankenstein's Dog. I've read them all. I've read Stay Out of the Basement. I've read It's Alive, It's Alive. I've read I'm Your Evil Twin. I've even done The Lizard of Oz, which I actually don't hate as much as other people hate it. Yeah, I think it's just a good formula. but it is a bit standout to the point where when you see it happening, people are going to be like, oh man, this is clearly taken from this book. So it has its gives with people. I think for me it hits a lot. But if I had a favorite genre, like traditionally speaking, I think I like the psychological horror books more, just because I think psychological horror plays with my mind a little bit more. And the psychological bits kind of play into body horror, which body horror and psychological are kind of like evenly matched with my taste. I'm not really the biggest fan on the sillier books, but I do like the silliness, as in when the silliness is just wild and violent and crazy, like just bonkers. When it's just silly, like plain Jane silly, kid-friendly silly, then it's just eh. But when it's ramped up and like turned up all the way on the volume, then I like silliness. But if I had a preference, I think the psychological books, for the most part, do it for me, because they tend to be more visceral and intimate, and it feels more deeper hitting on a personal level when you read it. So, yeah, I guess that's my answer. What series do you like most outside of Goosebumps? Well, if I had a favorite, I've never really thought about this, but I guess I've never talked about this on the channel, but I loved the Haunting Hour TV show. I loved it. I watched it a lot when I was in high school when that show came out, and I watched it religiously on the hub. I had it on my DVR back in the day. At one point, I think I had it at least 3 or 4 full seasons of the show DVR'd. So, yeah, the Haunting Hour, really love that. Really love that series. Eventually, once I get a couple of more Goosebumps series knocked down and finished and ranked and all that, I'll start adding more R.L. Stine projects into my reviewing, like The Nightmare Room and The Haunting Hour and stuff like that, eventually. So I can't wait to get to that. And what kind of music do you listen to? So I actually pulled something aside for you. I really like pop punk music, like early 2000s pop punk, like Sum 41, Blink 182. I like NoFX. Bands like that. I guess Green Day would count. I don't know. I was a late 90s kid, and I grew up in like the Y2K era, and got music like Blink 182, just soundtrack. Enema of the State's probably one of my all-time favorite albums, next to the self-titled album that Blink put out. Yeah, so I like pop punk. That's probably my favorite genre. So thanks for your questions and your answers, G King. Good luck for the drawing. Next up, we have Grayson the Goosebumps Kid, 1992. He writes, "Hey man, huge congratulations to reaching 525 subs. Answers. I definitely think Why I'm Afraid of Bees is underrated." So, Why I'm Afraid of Bees is his underrated book. "The characters are really cool, and the whole body swapping concept is really neat." I agree. I think the book is underrated. I put a review on my channel, and I declared it an underrated book immediately. I've noticed this, that the book doesn't get enough love that it should, but it's also a book that shouldn't get too much love at the same time. But yeah, I think the hate for the book, I just don't get it. I do find it underrated, just like you. His dream sequel, he says, "My dream sequel is Welcome to Dead House. I would kill to have a sequel to that book. Too bad the planned one never happened." Oh yeah, you're talking about Happy Holidays from Dead House, the Christmas Dead House book? Yeah. Yeah, I'm sad that it never happened too. And I'm honestly shocked that Stine has never called back to that book, even though he's alluded to it many times in like questionnaires that he would love to do a Dead House sequel, but he's never put one out. The fact that we got a Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes sequel before Dead House baffles me. It baffles me. Yeah, I would love to see a Welcome to Dead House sequel. I'll kind of answer my own questions when I get to the last person, because they put the questions back on me, and I'll get into that near the end of what book I would want to see a sequel of, but Welcome to Dead House is an honorable mention. And your request, for Grayson's request, is, "Here's my request. The book I would like to see you review on the channel is definitely Attack of the Mutant. Such a fantastic book." I agree. I love Attack of the Mutants book. Its episode, though, I have my issues with. I used to hate the episode. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I used to be one of the people that hated Attack of the Mutants episode. I never understood it. It was too campy for me, even though I loved the book, and even though I loved the actors and the performances in the episode. I also like hated it equally. It was just one of those things that I didn't appreciate until I rewatched it recently with like a new frame of mind about it. And once I like just gave myself to the madness of the episode, it became better. So yeah, that'll be an interesting, fun book and book versus episode. And there's a TV book for it. So those are going to be a 4-video set for Attack of the Mutant if you happen to get lucky. So yeah, so it'll be a lot to review for that. I wouldn't mind reviewing that one. It's been a long time since I've read it. And now for his questions. Do you have any least favorite villains of the original Goosebumps series? Yeah, I do. I guess we can start off with the worms from Go Eat Worms. The big king worm. I never understood why people like that character. Even though, like, you know, he's kind of responsible for, like, messing with Todd. I'm more a fan of the butterfly at the end that shanks him. So, yeah. The Mud Monsters. I know it's an iconic villain, but they mean nothing to You Can't Scare Me. They're nothing villains, really. Even though it's cover bait for that book. That's kind of why I don't like them. Thinking back on it, I guess if we're talking villains here, the snowmen from Beware the Snowmen are kind of iffy. This is a good question. Oh yeah, the guy from Deep Trouble 2. The scientist guy that tries to steal Dr. Deep's D13 or whatever it's called. That guy's pretty stupid. I've only seen the episode. I've never read the book, but yeah, that villain's pretty weak. Yeah, I think those are pretty weak ones off the top of my head. I mean, I guess the two like robber guys that turn themselves into dogs and the barking ghost as well. It's pretty stupid. But yeah, those are pretty weak. Also, the lawn gnomes from Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes. I know they have a little charm to them, and I weirdly like them in some ways, but they aren't really scary. So yeah. So yeah, I have a lot with that. Have at it. I hope that answered your questions. And what are some overrated Goosebumps books in your opinion? Okay, so back to G King's question with the Night in Terror Tower. When he mentioned the Night in Terror Tower, overrated books. I guess I'll stick to the classic series only because the classic series has most variance with people. I have a couple. One book I find overrated is A Night in Terror Tower. I'm just not a fan of the repetitive action in the book. It's mostly chase scenes throughout the story. It doesn't really do what I want it to. And I've read this book multiple times throughout my life, and I've thought the same thing ever since I was a kid. It's just too much chase scenes. Even the episode, even though it trims out a little bit here and there, it still keeps the chase scenes. So that's a negative that I wish the episode would have kind of fixed, but didn't. But yeah, found that book a little overrated. Night at the Living Dummy 3, the book, not the episode, the book, I find overrated. I find that book overrated. I think the episode's way better, if you ask me. I know this book gets a lot of praise. I've never understood the hype behind it, and that's How to Kill a Monster. I think the story's a little too generic and a little too questionable for my taste, even though I have not read it in a long time. I don't want to say too many mean things about it, because it's a book that I have not read since I was maybe 10 or 11. I refreshed myself with The Night in Terror Tower, later than that. So, with that being said, I guess I would include How to Kill a Monster as well. A book I see a lot of people praising that also I'm not on the same wavelength of love is Attack of the Jack-o'-lanterns. I think that book has a lot of filler in the beginning. Just doesn't do it for me. Yeah, so hope that answers your question. Okay. Next up, we have Got 12. Now, Got 12, I want you to know, you only did half the assignment here. You asked me questions, but you didn't answer my questions. So, since you didn't answer my questions, I don't know what thing you want me to review. So, I'm going to kind of take something from your questions here and kind of substitute it here. And I'll tell you what I'm going to substitute it with at the end. So, Got 12's questions are, of the original 62 books, which do you believe are ghost written? Oh. Well, some books seem kind of blasphemous, right? Some books feel like there's no way Stein would ever write this. It feels so random and so stupid. And a lot of that kind of centers around the ending twist, because from what I've gathered from Stein, he writes the shell of the book, which is like the beginning and the twist, and then he fits the middle through an outline. And he's had assistants do outlining for his books from Why I'm Afraid of Bees onward, at least back in the day. So, is there a book that feels like maybe the assistant did more than just outlining? I have my suspicion on one, only because it feels so off filter from Stein. I've never really felt that Stein would come up with something like this. It feels like something too reachy, even for Stein. The idea feels a little wonky when you think about it. And yeah, I think it's Legend of the Lost Legend. I think Legend of the Lost Legend is one of those books that is one of my least favorite Goosebumps books of all time. And it's the one book that I would probably put a hard stamp of confidence could have been ghost written. Only because I don't think Stein can even come up with a blunder that big with how that plot unfolds in that book. Nothing is made to make sense, even on a rudimentary level. I don't think Stein is that bad at that. So, yeah, that's one I think. And I even think that I Live in Your Basement could be a suspect. I just have that feeling. It's a little too good and a little too out there and a little too experimental for it to be a Stein book, I feel like maybe Stein put some Steiny things into it, but since he doesn't remember the book, like there's obvious hints he doesn't remember the book when people ask him about it. I think it's one that he probably didn't write. So those are my two suspects: Legend of the Lost Legend and I Live in Your Basement. And maybe, just maybe, the theory will stand that, you know, the conspiracy, put your tinfoil hats on, Legend of the Lost Legend and I Live in Your Basement didn't get reprints because Stein didn't write them. Okay, so yeah, there you go. If you were to pick a color scheme of your choice for a Goosebumps book cover, what would they be? I've always wanted to see black on like a classic OG62 cover. I think that would be cool to use black as one of the main colors, and like a bright red, black and red, and just do like a gory looking, you know, horror cover, like a Nightmare on Elm Street color palette. Maybe even like a dark green or something, red and dark green. Freddy Krueger it. If that makes sense. I think that'd be a cool thing to do. Now, what book could you put on that? I don't know. Whatever he felt, but that's the color scheme I would pick. Do you think there will ever be a number 63? I guess you mean original 62, number 63. Basically a continuation of the original series. You know, I have wanted a continuation in a form of like a soft reboot for original 62, as in they just pick up from the numbers and just move forward and kind of pretend that these are like Lost Library original 62 books. But there was supposed to be a book 63. The final book was actually supposed to be Cry of the Cat. True story. It got delayed so much because of rewrites, so Scholastic just moved it into the Series 2000 lineup, and that's how it became book number 1. So, yeah. So, technically, there is a book 63, canonically, already existing. But as far as one existing as a numbered 63, I think it could happen if Scholastic wanted to do it. I mean, there's no real rule to it. I guess if they, in Slappy World, and they kind of want to go retroactively and go back and bring up the old style, you know, of layout, and I guess pay a royalty to the person who designed it again, sure. But since you didn't answer my questions, I guess that if you had to pick a book you want me to review, since you mentioned a Goosebumps number 63, I'll make your thing that you want me to review, Cry of the Cat book. I've already done the episode, so yeah, I'll make it the Cry of the Cat book. Okay, only because you didn't answer the questions. All right, Spongy. All right, I thought I was going to save him for last, but I guess I'll just go ahead and do it now. Spongy says that the most underrated book to him is Beware the Snowman. For its flaws, it's unique in the setting and setup, and pretty interesting. I tend to agree. I actually think it's an underrated book. I don't think it's like a great book by any means. It's openly flawed. I think I gave it a low B, and I think I was being nice to it. There's a lot of things I don't like about it, and thinking back on it, there's some things I didn't really deduct anything on in my review that I probably would go back and deduct on now. So whenever I get to my original 62 reviews, it's going to be kind of weird. I think I'm going to have to make like an update to certain books that I kind of want to further deduct on at some point. But as it sits now, I do think Beware the Snowman doesn't get enough love. I'm currently doing a project of collecting community tier lists from like Tiermaker, and a lot of people put Beware the Snowman in a D tier. I don't think it's a D tier book. I think it's a lot more better than people give it credit for. So yeah, I agree with you there, Spongy. The book he wants a sequel to is Calling All Creeps. That's a good choice, because that cliffhanger, we don't know what happens. Does Ricky take over the human race? Like, I want to know. I would love to know. I would love to see a sequel to Calling All Creeps. Great choice. And for what he wants me to review, he says, some Strange Matter stuff, if only to give it more awareness. Okay, I have some Strange Matter books. I actually was planning on doing one that kind of tie into Haunting Hour, since it became a Haunting Hour episode. But yeah, I have some Strange Matter books. I want to try them. I just don't know. I've never read any of them, so I don't know if you have to read them in order or you can just pick up wherever. I'm assuming you can pick up wherever. But which one I want to pick first, I guess I do have a good stack. I'll just pick which one I feel like reading first. Maybe the one that you told me to read. For my questions, I'll turn the tables on you and ask you the first 2 questions you asked us. Since you can't really answer the last question, I'll leave it to just those 2. Okay, so you're asking me, what book do I find underrated? Underrated. Okay, underrated book. Okay. Now, this is kind of hard because how do you define underrated, right? So, I'll tell you this. A book that I love. I genuinely love it. And I know most people like it, but don't love it. I think is Don't Scream. I talk about this book a lot. Don't Scream has a lot going against it. One, it's in a very obscure series sandwiched in between Horrorland and Most Wanted. It's a modern Goosebumps book. And yeah, it's overlooked and underrated in my opinion. I think people don't give it enough credit. It's what I call one of the great commentaries of Goosebumps. There's some messages there to be taken about, social media addiction and stuff like that. Very rich with allegorical, visuals and stuff. So I don't know. I really dig that book. I don't know what it is about it. I love it. I think it's underrated. It's like one of those books that I call like it's my favorite. You know what I mean? It's mine. So yeah. I guess Don't Scream would be mine. I just really love that book. I can't shut up about it. I love it. And what book do I want to see a sequel for? Okay. I want a sequel to this book so bad. So bad. I want to see a follow-up to The Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Some people might be like, you know what? Why do we need to see Tara again? Why does Michael need to go back and save Tara? Well, I think this could be a very experimental Goosebumps book, because maybe you can have Michael grow up to be an adult in a sequel. Like, there's so much opportunity to do something very special with the Cuckoo Clock of Doom sequel. You can make Michael an adult, and Michael goes back in time to his childhood. Because maybe he's gone through his life and he completely forgot about Tara until he's reminded one day when he visits his parents. And he's like, I never went back to get Tara. And now he feels bad. Maybe introduce that he has his own kids. Maybe introduce, there's a lot higher stakes for Michael if he goes back in time to save Tara. Maybe make it a moral dilemma of Michael's character. There's a lot of opportunity with that. There's a lot of opportunity. As fan fiction, I would go wild with it. But there's also other avenues you can take with the Cuckoo Clock of Doom sequel. It doesn't have to really be Michael as an adult. I mean, there's so much you can do with that plot and that setup. I would love to see it come to fruition, honestly. So yeah, appreciate that, Spongy. Thanks for turning the questions back on me. All right. So Michael Keikel, I think that's how you pronounce it. This is Michael Goosebumps fan's other account. He says, congrats on the community tab, my dude. You deserve it. God bless you. Really appreciate it. I thought it was going to take me forever to unlock it, and then I guess YouTube changed the guidelines, and now I have it. So, yeah, it's awesome. It's really cool. All right, BD Manga. Congrats, brother, on the subs. You deserve them. And keep up great reviews. All right, so thank you for that. So he answers, underrated, How to Kill a Monster. I know I just slammed your book a little bit when I said books that are overrated. But like I said, I haven't read it. I haven't read it in a very long time. I couldn't tell you if I like it now more as an adult. I really couldn't. I haven't even watched the episode in a very long time. I think the last watch through, I think I skipped over it. So I don't think, I used to think that the episode was just whatever. I don't really watch that one often either. So, I don't know, maybe it become like something that grows on me. I don't know, I've just always been, I just never have understood the hype behind it. But a lot of people say it's underrated too, so maybe I'm just on the outs with it, I don't know. The sequel that you would love to see is Calling All Creeps 2. Like Spongy said, Calling All Creeps. Yeah, Calling All Creeps would probably be my second or third. Like, it's Welcome to Deadhouse, Calling All Creeps, and The Cuckoo Clock of Doom are the three I want to see sequels to the most. Just because they have the best sequel bait. And it's just an easy concept to make a sequel on. Calling All Creeps 2 would be a great one. Be a very great sequel. And 3, I want you to review the Haunting Hour episode Big Yellow. You mean Mascot? I think you're talking about Mascot. Ironically, I just got a bunch of Haunting Hour DVDs with Mascot on it, and I love that episode. I love that episode. I think it's genius. Yeah, totally. I would love to review that. So questions. Which Goosebumps book do you think will remain timeless across the years for its execution and story? Timeless is the thing. Some things may not seem dated now, but they might be dated later on. A timeless book to me would be something that speaks on a universal moral that has been timeless, such as identity struggles or something to deal with external and internal blocks, that you have to overcome, and you have to learn to accept yourself, stuff like that. And a lot of people will probably agree with me when I say this. The most timeless book is The Haunted Mask. I think the book will always transcend some of its dated elements. Maybe kids won't be trick-or-treating at all 40 years from now. But it still would be a timeless book, as in it's just classic. I mean, like, there's some really classic books from the 20s with speakeasies, and nobody goes to speakeasies anymore, so, um, saloons, I mean, those really aren't around that much anymore. So, yeah, I mean, I think the answer to that question would be the Haunted Mask. Conservatively speaking, I do think there's are some really high hitting contenders that also kind of play into this. Um, but I think the Haunted Mask just has those layers. And actually, I think it kind of transcends a Goosebumps book in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, it's just a really good piece of fiction. So, yeah. And number two, oh, this is a really good question. This is a really good question. This might be my favorite one. Sorry, everyone. If you had to write your own kids' horror book, which Goosebumps or kids' horror book would you take the most inspiration from before making it? So, a lot of people, if you are in the Discord, know about my project I've been working on called Creep Channel. Creep Channel is kind of this book series idea I've had, and I've been off and on writing some books. I've kind of started the writing process seriously on like 2 or 3 of them. One of them I'm almost done with, I would say, and then 2 of them I'm in the drafting process for. But I love that you asked me this question because I have about 3 stories that I take huge inspiration from. One being this movie called Don't Look Under the Bed from Disney Channel. I've always been fascinated with the plot of that story. I like how the boogeyman concept, the boogeyman can be any imaginary friend that you abandon. I like that it just appears under your bed. There's a world under your bed, the boogie world. I like how the main character can only see the boogeyman. I love that concept so much. I've come up with my own story called What Lurks Beneath the Bed. And it takes huge inspiration from that. Huge inspiration, I would say. And another one, I guess it's not really kids' horror, but I love the movie Jeepers Creepers. I love it to death. And I've come up with a story called Be Quiet, Be Still, which is more of a kid-friendly version of the story, I would say. And, you know, Jeepers Creepers kind of plays on a couple of Native American legends, actually. For those of you that don't know, like, the backstory of Jeepers Creepers, there are some, like, Native American demons that kind of resemble the Creeper in some ways. The Corn Demon. So, yeah, I really dig the concept of that and how it comes out every so many years to feed and goes back into hiding. It makes it a predictable time to when you know he's going to come wreak havoc. I like that idea. And maybe have like a town know that the omen is coming and the omen's going to bring destruction. You know, I like that concept. And then I have a story I'm writing called The Tensionville Rider, which is basically Dear Diary, I'm Dead and Say Cheese and Die. Like, except with using headlines and secret codes in a newspaper to kind of predict bad futures. Instead of a camera or a diary somebody found. Similar concept. I've always been fascinated with kind of like Final Destination type stories where you see these signs and you can see the future from these signs. They all kind of blend together in my version. It's kind of it's more about Final Destination a little bit, mixed with Stay Cheese and Die and Dear Diary, I'm Dead. But yeah, that's a great question. I love that you asked me that because not a lot of people know that I'm working on this project. So yeah, Don't Look Under the Bed, Say Cheese and Die, Dear Diary, I'm Dead, and Jeepers Creepers are some I take some inspiration from in this series. So great question. So yeah, but then we get Monster Blood. Love you, Monster Blood. Love your channel. I love your hot takes too sometimes. So the book he finds underrated is The Birthday Party of No Return. He says he finds it to be underrated. He thinks it's due to being somewhat obscure among the modern books. The Hall of Horror series in general seems to be a bit overlooked. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you so much. Hall of Horrors is actually a really solid series to me. I know some people were kind of mixed on it, say it's a mixed series, but I actually love it. I quite love the series. Nothing is a 5 out of 5 in the series, but they all offer their own flavors of stories. Not one of them feels the same, and I love that. It kind of feels like the classic books when they just throw something different. It's not really stuck on a dark theme like Series 2000 is. It's like you got some comedy, you got some deeper meaning stuff, you got some commentary, you got some fun antics, you got some fantastical adventure stuff, then you got some gross out body horror stuff. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Dig it. The Birthday Party of No Return, however, I respect it for being a really tight book. It's pretty airtight. It's probably, like, honestly, if I didn't have a 1-point curve to Goosebumps books, Monster Blood, if I didn't have that curve and I just threw it out, The Birthday Party of No Return, based on its writing, would probably be top 10 of the series. And I'm being honest. And it would be like that because it's emulating How I Learned to Fly so closely. And How I Learned to Fly would also be there. So, yeah, if I got rid of my curve, yeah. It would by default be there. Same thing with like Phantom of the Auditorium and books like that. Maybe The Haunted Car. The airtight stories like It's Alive, It's Alive. The airtight feeling ones that just feel concise, feel completed. Like, maybe not so much The Haunted Mask wouldn't be rated so high compared to the others, but I think The Haunted Mask would even be on there. But Birthday Party would probably be on there, even though, I don't know, I have my problems with it. I do. I'm just being honest. I really don't like Lee. But I like the point that you bring up that character dynamics sometimes can be better than personalities, which I will kind of agree with. I do like the character dynamics between Lee and the other kid. It has some funny moments. Some things you wouldn't expect to see. At least, so there you go. Sequel he wants to see the most is Welcome to Deadhouse. Yeah, Welcome to Deadhouse. Like I said, I want to see the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, Calling All Creeps, and Welcome to Deadhouse sequels. Maybe another Mutant sequel as well. Okay, Mutant as well. Those are the 4 I want the most. Everything else doesn't need a sequel, in my opinion. They can just rehash the idea. I mean, Stein apparently is going to rehash Chicken and Feathers. And rehash The Lizard of Oz again, kind of. So, just rehash them. But those are the 4 I would love to see sequels from. I would love to see a Welcome to Deadhouse sequel. And do you think we'll ever... No. He said, I'm sorry, I was reading the questions. Don't have my glasses on. So, he said, the book he wants me to review is My Teacher is an Alien by Bruce Koval. You actually sent me that book, and I have it in my collection. I've heard a lot of good things about this book, actually. I know you and Spongy both said it's good, so I might check that out. I might have to check that out. Questions. What are some of your favorite books outside of the Goosebumps and middle grade type books? Some of my favorite books, I just read recently Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I've been kind of reading more different style of books, other than horror. Some of my favorite books I can think of that I've read, I don't know. I read Congo by Michael Crichton not too long ago. It was pretty decent. And like I like books like that. I tend to only read books kind of in the horror genre. I'm not really into fantasy type stuff all that much. I don't know. I think I've answered this question in the past. I really love Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yeah. Honestly, I'm having a brain fart because I've been on such a kids horror kick the past 2 years. I haven't read much anything else, but I do have a couple on my list. I did read one of those Universal horror tie-in books for Frankenstein. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but yeah, I do have some Christopher Pike stuff I want to read, and some various other authors that kind of deal with more teen horror. Neil Shusterman, The Dark Side of Nowhere is a really good book. If you want a recommendation, The Dark Side of Nowhere, I read that a while ago. It was really good, and I found a physical copy for my collection. So, yeah, I recommend that one. And then Full Tilt looks really good by him. I bought that. I'm trying to set some time to read that. It's a carnival-based story, so Yeah. What are some of your favorite movies of any genre, or a top favorite if you have one? Okay, so I actually pulled something aside for you, kind of explaining one of my favorite movies of all time. Um, so one of them for horror, I actually found this at a Dollar Tree the other day, and I couldn't believe it. With my favorite horror movies, I tend to collect variants. We have a John Carradine and John Ireland movie, House of Seven Corpses. This movie was really ahead of its time back in the day when it was made. It's like about a film crew, and there was a bunch of murders that took place in a house years before. And when they get there, they kind of awaken the spirit that was behind the murders. It's a very dark story for what it is. It's a classic movie. I got this at a Dollar Tree, believe it or not, and I'm trying to collect all the versions of it. Really dig this movie. I think this movie kind of went on to inspire a lot of other movies moving forward. I think Rob Zombie at one point said this movie really influenced him. So, yeah, I would recommend this if you haven't watched it. But one of my all-time favorite movies, and I've been working on a collection of this, is House on Haunted Hill. I have these little things. I've actually found both of these thrifting. So this one comes with the bat in House on Haunted Hill. I've always just dogged this story, the Frederick Lauren classic story where he tries to host a party at a haunted house. I mean, it's just a fun movie. So I found this, and then I have House on Haunted Hill, which comes with a couple of movies that I haven't watched personally yet, but they look kind of like some underground, good cheesy fun. We got Moon of the Wolf, Fangs of the Living Dead, which I think is like an Italian movie, and then we have Mutant. So yeah, this is a crazy little set here. Comes with House on Haunted Hill. Yeah, one of my favorite movies. I love this movie. I've watched it ever since I was a kid. It used to come on back in the day. Maybe you would know this, Monster Blood, and Michael Goosebumps fan if you're watching. Remember back on AMC or Turner Classic Movies when they would do the horror marathons, and you would see some really obscure, like late 50s, 60s, and 70s horror movies that you wouldn't find anywhere else? One of the first times I ever saw House on Haunted Hill was on a horror movie marathon, and I thought it was a Universal Monsters movie for a minute, and I was really engrossed with it, and it just became one of my instant favorites. I love the movie. So I pulled this aside for you, Monster Blood, to kind of show you. I love House on Haunted Hill. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, it's just a genius horror film, in my opinion. And do you think we'll ever get any stellar new Goosebumps releases from Stein, even as just one book here or there, or is the best of Goosebumps long behind us? Well, judging what I've seen from Slappy World, I mean, we did get, in my opinion, I know you don't like this book all that much, but you do respect it. I think It's Alive was the last great book that Stein has put out. I'm not saying that Stein doesn't have anything left in the tank. I just think that from what I've seen in moderns, it's very spotty and hit or miss where all the good ideas are going. I feel like most modern books, they have some nuggets of uniqueness in them, but they don't hit the potential ever. Very rarely does a book actually run with the potential. And most of the solid ones tend to kind of retread old formulas, but kind of introduce something new. And then most of the bland ones are just straight up rehashes, or essentially even bordering reskins. I'm not the biggest fan of moderns altogether. I think my favorite one is It's Alive. That's probably the most solid one I've read. My next favorite would be Don't Scream. Those are like the big two. I do really love some, like Escape from Shutter Mansion. And I really enjoy Night of the Giant Everything. And I know that's an acquired taste type of book. But here and there I love some. But I've read a good amount of them. And I maybe love 6 of them. Maybe 7. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe the glory days kind of ended with like Series 2000. I think, unfortunately, but that was like the last of one of the really solid series. I haven't read Horrorland though, and I know Horrorland's very mixed. A lot of people love Arc 1, and then some people feel mixed on Arc 2, and then a lot of people don't even like Arc 1 at all. I don't know. I have to be the judge. I have to sit down and read Horrorland. I've heard the finale of Arc 1 is one of the best things ever. So I've already been kind of spoiled with a few things. So it has a tall order to hit from people's expectations they set for me. So yeah, but other than that, yeah, I kind of agree with I know what you think, and I kind of agree with you that yeah, Goosebumps heydays has kind of come and gone. All right, so we're getting really sidetracked here. All right, so Stephen Chavez, he answers where his underrated book is How I Learned to Fly because the story to me has an amazing storytelling to the main characters being relatable. I agree. How I Learned to Fly is an underrated book. It's just well written, great characters. Um, oh, by the way, Stephen, I want to thank you for being pretty much there for me since day one. I really appreciate all the comments you always post on my videos. I really appreciate it. Second, he said he would like to see How to Kill a Monster have a sequel. How to Kill a Monster keeps coming up in this video. Okay, How to Kill a Monster sequel would be fun, I guess. I don't know if you want it the same way as G King did, but that'd be interesting. And number 3, the book review he wants me to do is The Haunted School. Okay, I'll be down to do Haunted School. That's a great book. I would love to reread that. Questions. Have you played or heard of the Mega Man X series? Nah. I'm not into Mega Man all that much, if I'm being honest. I'm sorry. I'm just not the biggest Mega Man fan. I'm more of like a Sonic fan, if that makes any sense. I'll play Sonic, and I'll play Metroid. It's not really big into Mega Man. If you had Tim painting skills, would you paint them similar to his artworks, or would you make them differently? I mean, if I had Tim's talent, I'd paint him like Tim. I mean, I love Tim's style. I don't think I would do it differently. Maybe tweak some things here and there on some of his covers. Maybe go against the rule of not having blood. Other than that, I'll probably keep it mostly congruent. And have you played or heard of the Sonic Hedgehog series? Yeah, I love Sonic games. Minus the trash that was the 2007 game. Whatever that Xbox 360 game was, that was awful. So, but yeah, for the most part, Sonic's pretty legendary. I loved playing Sonic Battle. I loved playing Sonic Heroes on the GameCube. The original Sonic the Hedgehog games for the Sega Genesis, loved them. So yeah, love Sonic. And I love the movie franchise too. One of my favorite kids movie franchises currently going. Alright, so next up we have the Gamer Bros. He says, hi. For his underrated book, he says, The Haunted Car is definitely underrated. I agree. Not a lot of people talk about Haunted Car. It's one of, definitely, like I mentioned it kind of before, it's definitely one of the more tighter stories. Very solid book. I've never heard people really say anything negative about it. I know it's taking a lot from Christine, the movie, in the book by Stephen King, but yeah, it's a really solid one. Number 2, he thinks Attack of the Mutant definitely deserves a sequel. Again, a lot of people keep saying the same ones. I think everybody's on similar wavelengths with which books would be good for sequels. What do we have so far? We have Attack of the Mutant. Welcome to... no, we have Attack of the Mutant, Calling All Creeps, Welcome to Dead House, How to Kill a Monster. And I said Cuckoo Clock of Doom, but I think everybody's on pretty much similar. And I don't know if I said How to Kill a Monster. So we got Attack of the Mutant, Welcome to Dead House, Calling All Creeps, How to Kill a Monster, and I said yeah, so I did say it, and I said Cuckoo Clock of Doom, but yeah, Attack of the Mutant definitely would be a good sequel. Number 3, for his review he would like me to do is Welcome to Camp Nightmare. Yeah, I've been dying to reread that one recently. It's been on my mind a lot, so yeah. I hope I get to it. Maybe I'll draw your number. Here are my questions. What are some Goosebumps books you believe didn't need a sequel? Oh, Say Cheese and Die. Never needed a sequel. We didn't need to see a follow-up for Greg. We didn't even need to see a follow-up for Gabe Sabri and Return of the Mummy. That was unneeded. Anything past Monster Blood 3 was not needed. Monster Blood 4 was not needed. Planet of the Lawn Gnome seems unnecessary because why? I I haven't read the first Dr. Maniac book or the second one, so I can't really judge on that. But I heard a lot of people say it's pointless. I don't know. My Best Friend's Invisible loosely having a sequel, kind of, is weird. I don't know if it really deserves it. That answers your question. What are some good camping horror books for the summer? Well, I like camping legends more than like camping like horror stories. But one that really gets to me from The Haunting Hour, if you've never watched it, go watch Dreamcatcher. Go watch Dreamcatcher. It'll do it. It'll do it for you. It's pretty scary. But if you want a book, there's these camping stories by Alan Zulo that tell like creepy camp stories. You can't miss it. It's like totally terrifying camp stories. Try that out. It's really good. I used to read those when I was a kid. And could you rank the ghost books from the original 62 series? Sure. I'll rank all the ghost books. Why not? If you want to see it, I'll do it. Why not? There's not that many, I don't think. Maybe there's like 10 or 11 ghost-centered books. That'll be easy to rank from the original series. So, yeah, I'll do that. Great answers and questions. All right, so we have Goosebumps Godzilla. I know me and you don't really have the same taste in books or opinions, but thanks for responding here. Great theory channel, by the way. He has really good theories. Really good theories. I love listening to him. All right, so the first one is for his underrated book. He says the most underrated book is Triple Header Book 1 because not many people talk about it and it has some of the best stories. Okay, I see. Question 2. He says probably The Abominable Snowman of Pasadena needs a sequel. I don't know about that. I don't know if I even want to see a sequel for that. I don't think anybody would. You're the first person I've ever heard say that it needs a sequel. But I wouldn't mind it, I guess. It's another Goosebumps book, but I don't know. And the book he wants me to review is Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. I've been wanting to try out that series. It has like reoccurring characters and stuff. Sounds good, so I might check that out. If your name gets drawn, I'll definitely review it for you. Questions is, if Stein writes a book from one of these series, would you rather have a GYG book, a Triple Header book, or Tales book? Oh, I don't know. Tales is one of my, I haven't said it out loud on the channel, I don't think, but Tales is one of my least favorite series, I think. At least it feels that way. It's just very hit or miss with most of the stories. Triple Header is just kind of average, and Give Yourself is more fun, but there's so many Give Yourself Goosebumps books already. I guess I'll give it to Triple Header, just because I think having Triple Header Book 3 finally released would be fun. So yeah, I'll go with Triple Header. Would you rather read the worst book in the Series 2000 or the worst book in the original series? I know, what you said your least favorite book from Series 2000 was Are You Terrified Yet? And that's one of my favorites. So I guess if it's coming from your perspective of worst, then yeah, I would totally read the worst of Series 2000 all day. But the worst to me would definitely be a book that I have not reviewed on the channel. And I've kind of semi-retired it. And I don't really want to get to it for a long time. And that is Revenge R Us. I hate that book. And the worst of Original 62, in my opinion, is Go Eat Worms. And I hate that book, too. Which one do I think is less entertaining? I don't know. Revenge R Us kind of has some irony to it to kind of make it dark humor. As in Go Eat Worms, I just dislike everything about it. It's not even fun. It's not a good character. Nothing interesting happens. There's no plot. So, yeah, I would probably read a Revenge R Us over Go Eat Worms. But don't make me choose that ever. Please. Please. And the third question would be, if you could only keep one item in your collection, what would it be? And I recently acquired this item I have not shown on the channel. And just because it's one of a kind, I guess I would keep this, sell everything else, and just kind of go back and rebuild. And that is this Welcome to Camp, not Welcome to Camp Nightmare, but Welcome to Dead House hardcover. I got this shipped from Canada. It's like one of only 3 in existence. I don't know. It's like a fan-made book. I have my suspicions on who created it, but I'm not gonna point any fingers here. But yeah, I would hang on to this and just rebuild around it, I guess, because everything else is replaceable to an extent. So yeah, thanks for your questions. I really appreciate it. Next up, we have Miku Villarreal. I think that's how you say it. Miku is a really cool kid. He says, "Congratulations, completionist. Here's my answers. I think that title would have to go to It Came From Beneath the Sink. Michael says it sucks, but I don't care. It's a great read. The bad luck parts are awesome. And I like the fact that the characters were smart by using an encyclopedia." One thing that I love about that book, too, is the characters are actually pretty savvy. Savvy characters, very street smart. The violence is really good. I love the Omen concept. I actually have something planned for It Came Beneath the Sink. I've been kind of stockpiling some things to review all at once. But yeah, I can't wait to get to that one. I do think it's underrated, too. I think that some people that just don't like it just don't get it. And that's fine. Answer 2. I want a sequel to Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. That's a hot take. Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid. Okay. I want a true ending and not the you finished the story crap. Okay. Miku has probably one of the best answers of today. Okay, so Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid having a sequel would be super interesting, I would say. That's like, I don't even know where to begin if that became the case. And there's actually a lot of suspicion that this book was written by Stein and a couple of contest winners. It just makes a lot of sense if that was the case. I would be flabbergasted if they ever made a sequel to this, but I love that answer, Miku. I love that answer. And answer 3, I want you to review Chicken Chicken just for a hilarious rant. Okay, I know a lot of people have asked people to review Chicken Chicken. I think a lot of people just don't want to read it because I guess there's so many people that love it. I don't want to disappoint people when I know I don't really love it as much as most diehard Chicken Chicken fans love it. But I don't think it's the worst book. I really don't. I don't get why people say it's the worst book. It has some really solid body horror moments. It has some ironic humor going for it. I know the parents suck. There's a forced moral. The ending is kind of crap. So there's a lot of negatives for it. But I actually have a little bit of fun with it. And not even in an unironic way. I really like it in some aspects. So, Chicken Chicken, I'll review it. I'll be honest about it when I review it. Alright, so questions. What's your opinion on the 5 Scream movies and your favorite Ghostface kill? Okay. Okay, I'll run through these really quickly. I'm not going to go too in depth. The bottom of the Scream movies is Scream 3. Roman is such a mismark for a reveal to the original trilogy. There was obviously a second killer that editing had to brush over. Kevin Williamson leaving the movie really hurt it. Columbine really affected the gore and violence that could be in the movie. It feels the most unscream of the whole movies. It's very cheesy in the Hollywood setting. I hate that they kill Cotton in the beginning of the movie. Whatever. Then we have Scream 2, second to last. Good setting. Really like it for what it is. It's not the greatest by any means. Number 3, now this might shock some people. I have Scream 2022. Loved most of the movie until about the final 20 minutes of the film. Be honest. The final 20 minutes just don't do it for me. And that really usually sells the Scream movies, in my opinion. The killer reveals play a huge part of the movies. And I know the movie comes to commentate, and some people try to say that Scream 2022 try to flip the Scream expectations from the fandom to the leads and the final girls more so than the killers, and how we put all this emphasis on the killers as fans. But I think that Scream just missed the mark on what the message it was trying to convey, and it just feels off. My second favorite Scream film is Scream 4. Love it. I love the humor in it. I love that it feels most like the original, in my opinion. I like that they go back to Woodsbury. I love the characters. I love the killer reveal. I love the killer's motives. I think it's some of my favorite killers in all of the franchise. If not my favorite, goes to Jill. love that. And yeah, I mean, the movie. The only negative I have with it is just it drags. It's a kind of a drag of a movie. It just drags. It takes a while. It's a very slow moving movie that takes a while to get going. But when it gets going, it gets going. And then I guess my favorite is Scream. Now I do have my reservations about it because I've seen it so many times, and every time I watch it, it becomes more and more obvious when you find the clues and context in it. But it is a classic slasher movie, so I do really appreciate the first film still more than the others. And my favorite Ghostface kill of all time? I don't know. I guess it's my favorite and least favorite ever. It's the death of Randy. It's so sad when Randy dies, but the way he dies is brutal. So, yeah, Randy's death in Scream 2. It's my favorite and least favorite, if that makes any sense. Okay. Have you watched the channel Clayton Floridi? He's a great Jurassic Park YouTuber, and he loves the same things. He covers some things I didn't know about the Jurassic Park franchise. I have not watched him. I'm not really that big into Jurassic Park, honestly. But I'll check him out. I usually like finding channels like that of stuff I'm not really interested in, but they make me interested in it because they just have good personalities. So I'll check out the channel. And 3, what monsters do you want to see appear in the new Goosebumps TV show? Ooh, I would love to see Carl from Trilogy, but I highly doubt we're ever going to see that. So if we're going based on books, I don't know. I would love to see Toggle and Dr. Shriek. Like if they did an episode of them trying to like kill the kids for their hands, that would do a lot for me. So those are the 2 I would love to see the most, because all the others are pretty much guaranteed to see, I feel. So I hope they do Piano Lessons Give Me Murder. Thanks for your questions. All right, next up we have Mikey Coughlin. He said his underrated book is Shocker on Shock Street. I agree. There's so much divisiveness about the book, and a lot of people hate on it. I love it. I think a lot of the red herrings and the fake outs and stuff, aren't really so much fake outs as in they're just exploring, the amusement park. I do think that my favorite version of the story actually is in comic form because of the art. But yeah, I agree. Shocker on Shock Street is pretty underrated. Five Master Dr. Scream needs a sequel from Hall of Horrors. He said, Five Master Dr. Scream. I think it would be good to get more lore behind the whole thing and explore the mask more. Wow. Okay. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. I guess I wouldn't mind that. And what he wants me to review is the Nightmare Hour and the Haunting Hour, as there are some very interesting stories in there. Okay. And then he asks if I can give a shout out to Legend of the Lost Legend for questions 1 and 2. So he also thinks that Legend of the Lost Legend is underrated and it deserves a sequel. Okay, Mikey. So his questions are, would you like to see more nods to other Goosebumps books or Easter eggs in the books? For example, in Diary of a Dummy, when the protagonists are reading the diary and it's referring to past owners of Slappy, I feel it would have been so cool and easy to have referenced owners from past books just as a nod to us longtime readers. I would love to see Easter eggs like that. And I did not know that about Diary of a Dummy. That makes me want to read it even more. I've heard so many good things about that book. Yeah, I would love to see that. I would love to see that. Especially with, like, the Haunted Mask. Like, thinking back to Scream of the Haunted Mask. If it goes back to an original owner, maybe they could have dived into that more. About, like, who owned the mask before Carly Beth. Stuff like that, Makes me think back to that. I would love to see more Easter eggs. Stuff like that. I think that'd be cool. And then we have EQ, who says that, let's see here. Oh yeah, EQ, you answered your question fully here, I think. Alright, so EQ says, I think I Am Your Evil Twin is underrated. I agree. I actually think it's one of the best books. Possibly. Definitely top 20. And he says, Let's Get Invisible is underrated. I think most people kind of appreciate it. I know a lot of people think it's a boring book, but yeah, I can see Let's Get Invisible too. I think Egg Monsters from Mars should get a sequel. You might be onto something there, EQ. I wouldn't mind that either, I don't think. Can you review Chicken Chicken, A Nightmare on Clown Street, or all 4 of the original Monster Blood books? Okay, I guess I'll take my choice on that. The Monster Blood books, I think I'm going to do a marathon of eventually, so I'll put those aside. Nightmare on Clown Street, for somebody told me that when the Ghost Dog Howls kind of deals with the character in that book before it. So I guess I would want to read that one first before it. So Chicken Chicken, somebody started requested Chicken Chicken, so I guess I'll throw you in the ring for Chicken Chicken as well. I'll take your pick as Chicken Chicken. All right. So yeah, I'll put that in the running. My questions are: which Goosebumps series should get a reprint? Give Yourself series or the short story anthologies? I think the short stories should get reprints more, honestly. And I know that's kind of controversial, even though I think Tales is one of the worst. I think Give Yourself is just... I mean, I don't know why they would reprint them. I mean, I know they're kind of rare and a lot of people would need them, but there's so many Scholastic Indian versions of them out there. I mean, they kind of suit the market. And Give Yourself Goosebumps is a pricey thing, so when you put a lot of money into it, it kind of affects value. Yeah, I would love to see, like, maybe classic Goosebumps reprints of them, but at the same time, I think they would take away some monetary value. So I think that Scholastic India versions do those more justice. I think they could easily make a book 10 of the Tales series, the first 6. Make a book 10 for the Tales. Just include a 6th book. Make the 10 a little bit bigger. Or at least the first 5 or something. So, yeah, I think I would pick short stories. What Goosebumps creature should get a series like Slappy World? Well, a lot of people would say Curly, so I'm not going to say Curly because that's an obvious pick. But one I think that would be really cool would be the Haunted Mask. I think the Haunted Mask would be cool. Have like a little mask shop setting, and you get the mask, like taking masks of the victims of the book. He takes the mask, and he's like a little mask collector. I think that'd be super cool, especially if they have like a little epilogue at the end of each one with them. That'd be super dope. I would love to see that. And what Goosebumps titles can you come up with? Hopefully with cheesy puns. I think I came up with one, but I don't know what I would do. I think I came up with Ghoul Drool. Kind of like Vampire Breath and Werewolf Skin. Ghoul Drool could be like a zombie story where zombie spit has infiltrated like the groundwater of a town. Everybody's turning into ghouls and dead people, and I think it'd be cool, like to kind of just Ghoul Drool sounds like a Goosebumps title, so there you go. Does that answer your question? I'm not really good at coming up with Goosebumps titles. I think that's more R.L. Stine's thing. But yeah. We have Sergeant Sad Guy that says, "Congrats, man. Here's to more growth." He didn't answer the questions or ask any, but thank you, Sergeant Sad Boy. I really appreciate it. Watchdog says, "I'm a big head also, my friend. I always love and have interest in Goosebumps. It's just that simple. It got me into reading. Congrats. Here's to 1,000. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it." Steven Chavez and Grayson also recommented saying, Grayson said, "Hey man, so excited for the Q&A. I'm so glad you have joined this community and me and met a lot of good people like you, Michael, Miku, and Austin. God bless you." Thank you. God bless you too, Grayson. Steven Chavez says, "I'm looking forward to seeing it. Also, congratulations. Your channel helped me so much. It means a lot, me expressing my Goosebumps experience, talking about it on your videos, commenting." Thank you. Thank you, Steven. All right, so we got 2 more people. We have Colton Johnson and Zoe. So let's read Colton's. So Colton says the underrated book he picks is Brain Juice. I agree. Brain Juice is one of my top 5 favorite Goosebumps books. I love Brain Juice. One of my personal favorites. He wants to see a sequel to Jekyll and Heidi. That would be a good idea to kind of see what happens to Heidi after that big depressing book. So, yeah. And what he wants me to review is Are You Afraid of the Dark? He didn't put anything else, so I guess open. Choose anything Are You Afraid of the Dark? Just start reviewing Are You Afraid of the Dark? So I guess what you mean is, do you want me just to start reviewing the book series? I think there's a couple of audiobook exclusives, and there's the reboot TV show and the old TV show. I guess I can start throwing some Are You Afraid of the Dark into the mix. That's fine. And Colton also has only one question. Where do you get all your classic Goosebumps books, specifically Series 2000? I get them off Thrift Books mainly. That's the only website I really come to trust. I do use Aid Books, Better World Books, Book Depository, you know, any website, because they're just so hard to find. And I only spend when I'm willing to pay on them. So if that helps you, I would buy online, just shop around for deals. Okay, and last person we have is Zoe. And like I said, this is all the people that I got. I checked the newest comment section to make sure that none of them got like hidden in the comments. Sometimes YouTube does that. I didn't see anybody else, so Zoe is the last commenter here. So we have, here's my answers. Zombie Halloween. I thought it was good for a modern release, and The Haunted School are Zoe's underrated books. I haven't seen you commented much on Zoe, so thank you for commenting. Seem like a new subscriber. Yeah, The Haunted School definitely deserves some love. Zombie Halloween, I can totally see why people don't like it, but it's definitely something that just speaks to me more, I guess. I think Zombie Halloween's underrated too. I really love that book. Welcome to Dead House is the book that needs a sequel for her. She says, "Welcome to Dead House that was given a Return to Ghost Camp treatment, where it is not set in Dark Falls, but it kind of inspired by the location." So you want a Welcome to Dead House sequel transplanted into a different town with a different house. It's kind of like the similar wavelength G King had on a How to Kill a Monster sequel. Nobody wants an official sequel, they just want a rehash, I guess. That would be cool. I could see that working too. I mean, I would love to see Dark Falls again because I want more explanation for Dark Falls, but that's a good choice. And she would like for me to read Ghosts of Fear Street, and it's up to me to pick whatever one I want to review. Good to know. I did pick up a lot of Ghosts of Fear Street recently, and I do have some that I really want to read. Specifically one, which is The Tale of the Blue Monkey. So that would probably be the one I would pick. And the questions are, what's your favorite spin-off series? For Goosebumps, definitely Series 2000. From the originals, Series 2000, most definitely. Easily one of the more consistent series in all of the franchise. It's just super consistent. It's not hit or miss as much. More solid. I know some people don't like, or they're more mid on the books, like certain reviewers here. And I think some people have a little bit of OG62 bias. But I think Series 2000 is easily some of the more better experimental books and darker books, and just speak to me on a level that I appreciate more in Goosebumps. So yeah, Series 2000 is my favorite spin-off series. Give at least 2 of your favorite Goosebumps protagonists. Okay. I love Craig Morgenstern from Are You Terrified Yet? I love Billy from Welcome to Camp Nightmare. I love Carly Beth from The Haunted Mask. I love Alex Hunter from Werewolf Skin. Yeah, those are pretty much my 4 favorites, I would say. My 4 favorites. And favorite Goosebumps books. I guess I'll tell you my top 5 personal favorites. So we have Werewolf Skin, Are You Terrified Yet? The Haunted Mask. I guess I'll put them dead tied. I'll put a tie here. Ghost Camp and Brain Juice. And then my number 5 would be Scary Birthday to You. I technically gave you 6. But I can't decide between Ghost Camp right now. Ghost Camp and Brain Juice are like pretty much deadlocked for some of my favorites. So yeah, those are my favorite Goosebumps books in a nutshell. Yeah. So yeah, that wraps up the Q&A. So let's get into the drawing. I want to thank everybody for your questions, and I hope I answered them as best as I could. I did not intend for this video to be an hour and 20 minutes, but we're now going to do the drawing. So my favorite question goes to the question from BD Manga, and I believe the question was about what Goosebumps books would inspire me if I were to write my own Goosebumps story. So you were number 5 here, and I said you were my fave, so you win there. And I believe you said you want me to review Mascot from The Haunting Hour. So Mascot from The Haunting Hour, is the first one I will review. So, congratulations. Mascot from the Haunting Hour is a winner. And now we need to pick 2 more winners here. So, the numbers are, number 1, we have G King. Number 2, we have Grayson. Number 3, we have Got 12. And Got 12, since you didn't tell me the one you wanted, I put the Cry of the Cat book. We have Spongy 444 is number 4. Monster Blood is number 6. Steven Chavez is number 7. The Gamer Bros is number 8. Goosebumps Godzilla is number 9. Mikey Coughlin is number 10. EQ is number 11. Colton Johnson is number 12. And Zoe is number 13. And I want to say special thanks to Sergeant Sadboy, Michael Goosebumps fan, and Watchdog as well for commenting. Now, may the best and luckiest person win potentially. So I'm drawing at random. I'm not going to look. Since I already drew out number 5 as the best response, I'm just going to pick randomly. I'm not going to look. And we have the first drawing here. And we have number 1. Okay, number 1. Who was number 1? G King. So it looks like we are going to be doing A Night in Terror Tower. Number 1. All right. And the last winner is going to be this next one. We kind of jump a little more. And this hat here. And the last winner will be number 8. Number 8. I know you can't see it, but number 8. Number 8 is the Gamer Bros. And now what did Gamer Bros want me to review? Gamer Bros wanted me to review Welcome to Camp Nightmare. Okay, so here we got our winners. We got, first, we have BD Manga as number 5. We're going to be reviewing, from the Haunting Hour, we're going to be reviewing the Mascot, which features Big Yellow. Then we have G King, who's number 1. We're going to be reviewing A Night in Terror Tower book and episode, and I'll do a book versus episode as well. And then for the person who is number 8, the Gamer Brothers, we have Welcome to Camp Nightmare. So we'll be doing Welcome to Camp Nightmare book, episode, book versus episode, and TV book. So yeah, those are going to be the next 3 reviews, guys. Stay tuned. Thank you all for participating. Hope everyone had fun doing this. I certainly did. And congrats to the people that had their submissions won. And let's try to grow the channel so we can do another one of these. I think the next Q&A I do, I'm going to do the same setup as we did here, to give everybody a shot to call what I review on the channel. So, yeah, thank you all. Love you all. Have a good day. Happy Easter.